Hi, I'm Jane Farnham from Great British Speakers, and I'm here today chatting to the leading female entrepreneur, Liz McKeon. Have I said that correctly, Liz?
You have indeed. Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
It's so lovely to speak to you. Now, of course, you're an internationally renowned salon business expert. You built your own, and you also have worked alongside other women to create theirs. You're also a published author and highly active in the area of anti-domestic violence. So maybe firstly, we should talk a little bit about your life and business prior to your speaking work. So what came first? Obviously, the business, the beauty business. So tell me how that all happened.
So I suppose business came first, and then I trained in beauty, and then I had a series of businesses. My first business was a health club, then I had a distribution company, I had a day spa. I actually brought the first spray tan machine into Ireland, and then I had a small skincare centre where we focused on really good treatments and selling the corresponding home care. And so that was like my work, in the salon environment in that industry for a good number of years. And then one day, my sales rep just said to me, Liz, I wish you would just teach other people to do what it is you do. And I said, but does everybody not do what I do? And she said, no, nobody runs their businesses the way that you do. And I was due a change, and I just felt, it was time to move on to something else. So I felt I had enough experience, hands-on experience under my belt. And then I trained as a business coach, and then I set up Salon Business Expert, literally going into other salons, working with them to teach them to run better businesses, because it's my observation that we're all good at what we do. But actually, if you run a small business, you've got to learn how to work on your business, to mind your business. You've got to learn the business skills. And I think, a lot of us are very good at what we do, but we haven't been taught that. So I just found a niche in the market based on her suggestion. And that's how Salon Business Expert started.
Are you still in contact with her?
Yeah, we still laugh about it now. I mightn't see her for a long time. And then when I bump into her, I say, now look at the mess you got me into. Yeah. So it's an ongoing joke.
Oh, good. Well, listen, what's the biggest mistake that small salon owners make, do you think? Are you able to share that with us? Is there one thing that you think?
Yeah, I think it would have been right? my observation at the start that somebody, and my industry lends itself to that somebody starts off by themselves, or it could be one room, or working for somebody else, and then they run a very successful, we call it a column, this column with their list of clients, and they run a very financially successful column on their own. And then they start to expand out and move to bigger premises and take on staff and assume that the staff will make the same amount of money. And that can be the downfall, because then they end up having to work twice and three times as hard to pay for the staff. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I noticed at the very start, that I really had to teach people: if you take on a staff member, they make the same money or more money than you do. They're not running a business, they're just running a column. And that continues to be something I teach quite a lot.
I can see that, and I would imagine that stretches across lots of industries, because unless you're actually entirely invested in a business, your mindset's slightly different as well. So if you're employed to compared to being a business owner, then it is, your mindset's different. You've got
totally different
to lose, haven't you, as a business owner? Whereas as an employee, you're not going to have that same, well, not necessarily the same drive as you would if you owned the business.
That's right, yeah.
And you're assuming they will and work have the same work ethic, and that's not always the case. So
no, it's not.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
And then how did that all turn into speaking?
It just snowballed, because I started, this work, and I suppose I took a few years, and I was just in and out of salons, just turning them around, and the success that people were experiencing surprised me, because it just became apparent that people would often double or treble their turnover, literally from the processes that I would have given them, that I would have developed, when I had my own salons and spas. So I trained as a coach, and then people started asking me to work with their team. So then the numbers started to grow. So then I trained as a trainer. So now I'm a coach and a trainer. And then I started working with teams, and then companies started asking me to work with their stockists. So then the numbers got bigger. And then I started getting asked to speak at trade shows. And then from there, I got, asked to speak at bigger events, like theatres and the Barbican Centre and those sort of places for big industry events. So yeah, it just, now I continue to work with small numbers, and then it just grew and grew and grew. And then it changed again during COVID and during the lockdowns, that I started working then with women in business groups outside of my industry. So it's always just changed, yeah. So it's grown. It's just grown over the years, yeah.
Are you like me? Do you get bored very easily?
I do get bored very easily. And I found when I had salons, I worked really hard to get them up and running. And then when they were up and running at the stage where you could take your foot off the pedal, then I was bored and was on to the next thing and the next thing. But that's good, because that gave me so much variety for what I do now.
Yeah, that's great. So have you got any examples where you've gone and spoken to a business and their employees, and you feel that the clients have developed at their end? Got any specific examples?
They all develop. It all changes, and I think my delivery is different to other people insofar as I might have the background knowledge and information, but I never feel it's my job to tell other people what to do. And in fact, one of the reasons I trained as a coach was I was worried I'd be too bossy. So I thought if I train as a coach, then I'll have a process, and really I find it's my job to help other people figure out what it is they want. And it's my job to help other people be the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be. And I think if we combine both of those, and I just facilitate getting the outcomes that they want, then that formula seems to work really well. And that's the formula I bring onto the stage, and that's the formula I use when I'm training. I really want people to come away with more than what they came into the room, that, they better for having listened this Irish accent hour or half hour or whatever it is.
It's the formula that makes you a winning success for sure. And I could listen to your accent all day. Now, given all the well-documented upheaval with COVID and lockdowns and working from home, now that must have had a real impact in the world of beauty and treatments. Did it hit as hard as you would have thought?
I found it quite interesting, and where my office is based, it's in a business park with about 20 other companies, and when we were going into lockdown, the admin staff were saying to me, "Well, it was very nice knowing you, Liz." I thought, what are they talking about? Because we know other people will be back, but we're not expecting you back. Why? And they were saying, "Well, your industry is shut. Your industry will never recover from this." That just was not on my radar, because I just thought, okay, this is time, peculiar time. The world is shut, my industry is shut. But I was in my own mind, I was very much like, you've got to make this time work. You've got to make this time matter. It's got to count for something. Now, I wasn't expecting to go on, obviously, for 2 years. I sort of thought this is for a month. I wasn't planning on 2 years. Yeah, it was very severe on my industry, but it was very severe on everybody, because it literally shut down. And I think you've got to kind of look for the good parts out of that. And my work changed, obviously, because I couldn't travel. So it ended up on Zoom. So, I had to improve at technology and learn all of that, as did all my customers. But the feedback that I got, and I worked with literally thousands of salon owners all over the world during the lockdowns, was that they got time to work on their businesses. They got time to enjoy working on their businesses, time to think about their businesses. So from my perspective, it was really good, because people were saying to me, now I understand, Liz, why you're always saying work on your business. And they understand, like, now, when the world reopened, to continue with the disciplines that they had started to enjoy. So now I'm sort of saying, look, the 80-20 rule, please don't forget. If you're running your columns and working with your clients, then please allocate 20% of your time to continue to work on your business so it can grow. So it was a very topsy-turvy time, but I also think, it was good for people to realize that, we all have an inner depth to us. We all have more resilience. We're all stronger than what we think we are. And I think as entrepreneurs, in or out of my industry, it doesn't really matter. Entrepreneurs have this like secret I kind of like, it's like a secret mental weapon, isn't it? That no matter what happens, you will pick yourself up and you will go forward. And if it doesn't work out, it won't be for the want of trying. So I think, yeah, that was my observation, that a lot of the people I worked with were more confident about their businesses and felt stronger as entrepreneurs coming out of it, which is, yeah, you know, my granny used to say it's an ill wind that blows no good. And it's true, isn't it? Yeah, we've got to find the good in everything.
Oh, absolutely. The positive in everything. I mean, we did exactly the same. You know, we
Mm,
sat and thought, oh my goodness, our industry is going to be annihilated. And then literally within a couple of days, we thought, right, okay, this is the opportunity that we've been looking for to sort out our websites and, you know, with things, because we're so busy firefighting day to day,
yes.
that we just never had time to really sit and plan things. We were
Hmm.
just flying by the seat of our pants. So it did
Yeah.
give us that time. And I think it was really welcomed.
Hmm.
Again, I didn't expect it to go on for 2 years. But, you know, these things happen. So then moving forward, say to the next 2 to 5 years, do you see more opportunities if you're a female entrepreneur? Or is there still lots more work to be done in this area?
I think there'll always be a lot more work to be done, and I think there'll always be room for progress. And you know, I was thinking this morning when I was driving into my office, because I knew we were going to talk. I grew up in the construction industry, and I can remember working for my father during my summer holidays or something. I answer the phone, and this man said to me, "Can I speak to somebody intelligent?"
What did you say?
I think I said nothing. I got such a fright that anybody would say that. Now, he probably had a problem that, yeah, I know nothing about construction, so I obviously couldn't help him. That didn't make me stupid, though. So it was, yeah, so the implication was like, you've answered the phone and you're thick.
Yeah, yeah. It is bonkers, isn't it? I mean, I
So,
don't, you know, obviously that is, you know, going back, but I just still think it's to this day, you know, you're still fighting sort of stereotypes.
mhm. So that's my, you know, early entrance into commerce
Welcome to business.
and into business. And you know, a lot of my work obviously is in the industry I do, but a lot of it is also outside of my industry. And you know, certainly during COVID and during the lockdowns, my work shifted into empowering female entrepreneurs, and I actually won an award. I won a lifetime. I was very proud of that. I won a lifetime achievement award for empowering female entrepreneurs in 2020. And but the research that I do have done, yes, there's definitely room for progress, because in terms of female entrepreneurs, the cleaning industry has more female entrepreneurs than any other industry. The caring industry is number two, and number three is the hair, beauty, and spa industry. So those three industries are the cleaning, caring, and the hair and beauty industry are the number one, two, and threes in terms of um, pushing female entrepreneurs out into the world of entrepreneurship. So those statistics alone prove that there's a lot of industries where there must be more scope for more female entrepreneurs to emerge. So we've made enormous progress, but yes, there's definitely room for, yeah, there's lots more room there, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, it's just empowering women and to, you know, to be more competent and to take risks, and you can do it. And you know what what's always fascinated me, Liz, and I don't know whether you've experienced this, is that sometimes women don't seem to have other women's backs. And you might be in the same industry and there's so much competitiveness, and they just think, you know, there's enough for everybody. And I hate that kind of feeling where, you know, they may be your direct competitor, but that doesn't mean you still can't work together and better yourselves together. I see it all over the shop, particularly in somewhere, you know, where I live, and you just see these women sort of
It,
pitching and backstabbing.
it's
Just think,
sad.
"God, we've got to move forward from this."
We have to, and it's something I'm actually quite proud of, because I do workshops, and like obviously, I mean, I do work with men, but like in my industry, about 90% of the people I work with are female. And when I started doing workshops, because when I started doing my coaching, then I realized I was seeing the same issues everywhere. So, and I couldn't get around to everybody. So I started doing events and workshops after that, where I would bring entrepreneurs into the room. And it was something I was quite adamant about with myself that, you know, I don't want competition in my classroom. The people in my classroom have got to be a support to one another. My courses and, you know, workshops are always incredibly interactive, and I encourage people to talk as much as they possibly can. And I'm so pleased that, you know, I get really proud and humbled by how helpful people are to one another and how they support one another, and the great friendships that evolve from my classroom. But I think as a facilitator, it's up to me to remove that fear at the start. And, you know, we're all here to help one another, and together we can go forward, and we can learn so much from one another, and we can all save one another so much time. Because if I have a problem and you've had it previously and you have the solution, if you share the solution with me, well then, you know, I don't waste time getting it wrong. So that was really a requirement when I started my workshops, that we're here to help one another. And I totally agree with you. I think it's a slight block that maybe female entrepreneurs have, that fearful of one another, whereas in actual fact there's no need, because you're right, there's enough business for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And play to your strengths. I really, you know, you can't be, you know, what was it, what's that phrase that someone said to me the other day, you can't be everybody's cup of tea, otherwise you'd be
No. Yeah.
Slightly not in business terms, but yeah, I think it's really relevant that, you know, you need to not spend time doing what you don't do well, and maybe outsourcing that and then focusing on what you do well. Thoroughly believe that. Now, the other interesting thing about you is obviously you talk about entrepreneurship and women and health and wellness and beauty. But your latest keynote is around domestic abuse. So how did you get involved in that subject?
So if I go back to, let's make this time of the lockdowns and COVID, so to make this work. So when I look back now in 2020, I got that All-Star Award for empowering female entrepreneurs. And then in 2021, I became the ambassador for an online industry training called Shear Haven. So I feel coming out of as we emerge from the pandemic, they were sort of the two things that I felt I achieved. So in relation to Shear Haven training, in Ireland, our first lockdown, we couldn't go any further than 2 kilometres. That was in 2020. And then in our lockdown in 2021, which went on for 5 months, we couldn't go any further than 5 kilometres. So there was nothing really to do and no place to go. So on Valentine's night last year, which would happen to have been a Saturday night, I was sitting in at home like at 7 o'clock and like feeling really sorry for myself. It's Saturday night, it's Valentine's night. I'm here in my dressing gown, there's nowhere to go, there's nothing on television. And I was just flicking through LinkedIn and I came across the link to Shear Haven. And I just thought, well, if this is for the industry, and you know, an awful lot of time in my industry was spent with people upskilling and training, and it was all online, and which was hugely helpful. So I found this 20-minute training, and I just did it. And I said to myself, well, you know what? This might help other people in our industry. Now, if I go back a little bit to 2020, I would have a very large following on social media. And I remember, you know, I used to be looking at my news feed all the time, and I had started to observe salon owners that I perhaps might have worked with in the past, writing up, you know, putting up posts to people, because as a salon professional, you have a very close, you know, not strange, but different relationship with your clients. And I started to see these posts going out, you know, I'm not seeing you at the moment, you're not coming into me for treatments, but I'm here if you need me. Or, you know, if you need any help with anything, just call me and ask me about blue eyeshadow. If you need me to call the authorities for you, say, I want cream number such and such, and I will do that for you. So I started to see that trend happening. Also, and you know, I love saying this to my salon owners, you know, something really important and significant shifted in the industry in 2020, insofar as every survey that was done globally about, you know, what's the first business you're going to go back to when this is over? And it was always the hair salon and the beauty salon. So I was able to say to salon owners that I'm working with, now do you appreciate just how important you are in your clients' lives? So I started to see the trends shifting. And then I watched this training, and I was just sat there with myself, and I thought, well, you know what? I have personal experience of this, and it's a long time ago now, but there was a time where I just literally had to run for my life and go into hiding for several months, and it was very serious. And I never underestimate, where I was at that time, and I was in like really significant danger. And to get up and leave and run was really tough. And yet we saw in 2020 that the call lines to all the domestic violence centres, they were just escalating. And it isn't a gender specific problem, it's male and female. And so I saw this training, and I watched it, and it was developed in Nashville in Tennessee by a salon owner, also a domestic violence survivor. So the training was 20 minutes long. The training was done in conjunction with the YWCA, who are run the refuges in Tennessee. It was 20 minutes long. It was very well done, and it wasn't teaching people how to solve the problem. It was literally, if you have somebody in your chair and and you can see the signs, here's what to do. Okay. So I thought it just hit the spot. I thought it was very good. And I felt, well, I'm just going to put this link out on my newsletter next week. So I put it out on my newsletter and just said I did this training at the weekend. And if you think it might be of interest to your teams, I suggest you ask them to do it. Now, I subsequently found out that the Shear Haven training was downloaded by 4,000 people in the UK that week, and 500 in Ireland, which I didn't know at the time, because nobody answered me, nobody responded or anything. But that number of people did the training, but I didn't find that out straight away. And then I sat and I thought with myself, well, if that was me 20 years ago, or whatever length of time it was since I was in that situation, if I could only go 2 kilometers, then I don't think I'd be alive today. If I could only go 5 kilometers, I would not have made it. And I really felt for all the people that were in that situation. And then I also thought of the times in the course of my work, it's happened too many times where I might be working with a hair salon owner in their office or whatever, and a stylist will come in and say, I have somebody out here with alopecia, will you come and have a look at it? And I would know from what they're saying, that's not alopecia, that's somebody having had the hair ripped out of their heads. Or, I know myself from doing massage or skincare treatments, when people are undressed, you see bruising. There was one salon that I used to go to once a month, and myself and the owner used to work in her office in the back garden. And every time I went, this man was walking up and down outside. And I used to see this therapist coming out on her break and at lunchtime. And I said to the owner, like, why is that man always there? And she said, oh, it's so-and-so's husband, like one of her team members. It's so-and-so's husband. And he's mad about her. And I was thinking, no, he's not mad about her. This is this power and control, struggle that was like, that was so familiar to me. But, the owner was not aware of it in any shape or form. And I just decided then the next month when I went back, if he's still there, then I'm going to have to explain to her what's happening. And then another occasion I was working with like a very well-known salon owner, high-profile chain of salons, and I planned to work with her for a day. And when I got there, she was just like, Liz, I'm not there. You're going to have to come to my house and pull me out of the house. I had to go to the house, and we had to get her a barring order and get her children out. And so I've had this experience in my own work down through the years, and because I have personal experience, I felt I was in the position to help. But it's got to be so much more widespread than that. So I felt my industry has a role to play in this. And I just went about contacting Shear Haven in America. So we have a very good working relationship now. And I asked, could I be the Irish and UK ambassador? And that's when they told me that they were wondering why the numbers had gone up so much. So since then, it's now evolved that we have people in Australia and New Zealand wanting to take it on, and we're partnering up with very large companies in the UK. Over 43,000 salon people have downloaded it. So it's just sort of mushroomed, and it's been downloaded in 101 countries.
Wow. Well, that's phenomenal. Thank goodness we've got you.
I don't know about that.
But no, bringing it to all the salon owners' attention is,
Mhm.
you know, it's baby steps. It's a step, you know, every one of these steps is significant, you know, and
It really is. And, you know, I think, you know, I've been in business a long time. You know, I'm used to doing radio, I'm used to doing television. I've always got PR going on in the background. And I'm used to that. But what I was not used to is we launched this last year on the 5th of July. My phone did not stop ringing with you know, with trade press, with consumer press, with radio stations, TV stations, and the you know, the appetite for improving this and creating awareness around it. You know, it's sad that it's required, but it's wonderful that, you know, that people are ready to take it on board now.
Well, good luck with all of that. Honestly, it's been so inspirational talking to you this morning. Thank you so much for your time, Liz.
It's my pleasure.
It has really been wonderful. So thank you. I'm going to take a lot of that away today as well. But if you'd like to book Liz for any events, mentoring or any speaking event, then do get in touch with us. Contact Steve or myself at Great British Speakers. You can phone us on 01753 439 289, or you can email bookings@greatbritishtalent.com.